Today, I'm coming at you with how to apologize for real. First, I'm going to tell you why you care about it. Second, I'm going to go into why it is so darn hard to apologize. And last, we're going to go over the 6 steps backed by research for how to apologize for real and really have it transform your relationship and move you forward. So, first of all, apologies have total magical power. That's why you care. They can diffuse resentment like a full head of steam, when someone's really upset. Having a real apology, an effective apology right there can totally diffuse a situation and create immediate connection, intimacy, love, calm, all that good stuff right away when you've just had the opposite a moment before. The other thing a real apology does is, you can't go back and change the past, obviously. You can't go back and undo something you've done before that hurt someone. But an effective apology, a real apology, actually can stop the negative effects of a past hurt, something that you did, a past offense. It can really turn around those negative effects and again create they can mitigate them, it can make them go away and create some really wonderful connection with you and your partner, whoever else you need to apologize to. So that's the reason you care. That's the reason you want to do it. You're really showing your partner in this case or someone that you care enough about the relationship to want to move it forward. Now, why is it so hard? Why is it so darn hard to apologize? There's 3 big reasons for that. One is that when we apologize, we take a knock to our self-esteem. We do. And this is from the research. So, truly, that's what happens. We are vulnerable. We're admitting we did something wrong. We might feel humiliated, embarrassed, all kinds of things. And our self-esteem takes a little knock. Humans, we don't like that. So hence we avoid apologies. The other reason a lot of people don't want to apologize is because of something that's called the magnitude gap. Basically, this is how big you think the offense is versus the other person. And the research shows that people that do the offending, the transgressor, are more likely to dismiss, negate anything the offense than the person, the victim, the person who feels wronged. So what happens is the person who feels wrong might think it's a really big thing, and maybe you're the one who did the bad thing and you're trying to write it off. And we do this usually in 3 main ways. We say like, oh, that was a little mistake. I always remember to pick up the kids from school. I just forgot the one time. Or, I always take out the garbage every week. I just forgot today. I always whatever, and I just forgot this one time, or it just happened this one time. We make it like it's something little that shouldn't be, that should be insignificant and doesn't need an apology. The other thing we do is sometimes think that there's some sort of valid excuse. Well, yeah, I raised my voice when we were arguing, but I had to. You weren't listening. I had to do it. And that actually gets us into the third thing, which is blaming the victim. So you can have one that is 2 of these reasons, but any kind of valid excuse. Well, yeah, I was in a lot of pain. I know I snapped at you, but or I'm really preoccupied with my mom and the things going on with her. So somehow these things make it okay to act inappropriately or to act in a hurtful way. They don't, of course. And then again, blaming the victim in some way that's the reason, they're the reason you had to act the way you did. You had no choice somehow because of something that they did. So all of those 2 are really why it's hard to apologize. And the last real reason is that it is heck also on our self-image. If you see yourself as a caring, loving, moral, fabulous person in some way, and you do something that's not in line with that, then that takes a hit. That our self-image, we start to see ourselves differently, and we don't like that. That, by the way, is the work of Karen Schumann from the University of Pittsburgh. She has great research on why it's hard to apologize. A lot of people haven't studied that, but that girl has. Shout out to you, Karen. So let's get into some of the no's before we get into my 6 steps for how to apologize effectively or for real. Let me just quickly go over some of the things you don't want to be doing when you're apologizing. One is saying things like, oh, I'm sorry that you feel that way. If I hurt you, I'm sorry. These are pretty much just saying screw you. if I hurt you, you're not even acknowledging that you hurt the other person. It's a total throwaway. You are really not invested in this apology at all. Might as well not say it. And if I hurt you, I'm sorry. Or if I'm sorry you feel that way, is real screw you. It's really just saying, oh, I'm sorry you feel that way. It's so dismissive. It's not sorry. You're sorry that they're giving you grief. That's what you're sorry about. So that's not a real apology, obviously. Anything with but, there can't be a but. I'm sorry, but da 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 da. And that's usually getting into blaming the victim or having some excuse outside yourself for what happens. So you're not taking ownership, but negates everything you said before. So do not use the word but. And then you really want to stop the negative momentum. I've talked about momentum a lot. So you want to apologize as quickly as possible, as close to whatever happened as possible. And I talk a lot about if you have a car on the top of a hill and it starts to roll, do you want to stop that car at the bottom of the hill or do you want to stop it at the top, closer to where it's starting to roll? Obviously, the answer is at the top. And that's because of the momentum that starts to happen. And that happens as we let a transgression, something that we did, go on and on and on and don't say anything. It gets bigger and bigger in everyone's head. It gets bigger in your head. They're pissing me off. Why they overreact that way? Da 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 da. It's bigger in their head. Oh, my partner's such a jerk. Oh, they always do this. They never do that. It becomes even bigger and becomes harder to stop the momentum. So you really want to do it as soon as possible to whatever happened. But it's always better late than never. Even if it's been years, an apology is always good whenever you think to do it. So I want to say that too. And then the last thing, which goes into our steps, it's about to go into our steps, is that your empathy game needs to be strong, Obi-Wan, or however that works. I don't watch Star Wars, sorry. You really want to be able, empathy is when you put yourself in the other person's shoes. And you really do that. And to do the 6 steps effectively, you're going to need to have your empathy game on. That means that I don't care if you felt like they totally overreacted, that they had no right to feel this way, whatever that is, you need to get past that if you're going to truly apologize for your part in it. So what can happen is that we can do something that's very innocent, let's say. I always joke about, taking your knife directly from the peanut butter into the jelly and not wiping it in between, so you get a little peanut butter goo in the jelly. And then let's say your partner blows up about it, just like, what are you doing? I've told you over and over not to do that. They start losing their you-know-what. But what happens is that then we lose why are you screaming about nothing? It's just the jelly. Get over it. Just stop. Why do you care? Buy more jelly. Whatever you're saying. And when you get upset and you're not yourself and you're not loving, kind, patient, compassionate, that's what you're apologizing for. You might think it's fine to put your knife from the peanut butter to the jelly. You might think like, please, we have bigger fish to fry. However, you need to understand the impact you're having on your partner. And therefore, and when you're making these sorts of, when you're getting upset and you're reacting in ways that aren't kind, that's what you're taking responsibility for. So putting yourself in their shoes, could mean, even with the peanut butter, could mean that you really think like, why is this upsetting them so much? Let me think for a minute. Why is this upsetting my partner so much? Well, they really like when things are orderly because, they had that horrible childhood and, I know this about my partner and they really feel like they need a sense of control all the time. Or maybe, I remember my partner grew up, their mom was a hoarder and there was junk everywhere and it was really dirty and filthy. And so anything little like this really reminds them of that and they're having this response. You put yourself in their shoes and what happens is you have some empathy. It's like, yeah, I don't love the peanut butter thing, but I love my partner and this is something that is small that I actually could do that really doesn't matter to me, but matters so much to them. So why aren't I doing it? There you go. You're starting to switch that around. So here are the 6 steps for an effective apology. And this is backed by the research. This isn't just me making it up, but here we go. But it, of course, has my own spin because that's what I do. And this first step is one of them, which is you have to set intention with this empathy before you do the apology. So you have to get into there. You have to put yourself in their shoes for a minute, and then you have to set an intention of being okay, I'm going to be really patient and kind. I'm going to be of service in this apology. I'm going to be so loving. I love my partner so much. I'm going to come from that place. I don't want to be part of what makes them struggle. I want to be their biggest yes. That energy that you bring in to then do the apology, gold, and will make the apology work. But there's still a few little steps you have to do in between. So that's the first thing. The second thing is you need to acknowledge the offense completely. Your part in it, no hint of blame at all. No hint that there's anyone responsible except lovely you for your part. And so again, think of your part. Maybe you got really upset about the knife thing and we're really reacting like, and so you would do that. Say, hey, I got really angry and heated when you asked me about the peanut butter and jelly thing. And, I really reacted to you so strongly, and maybe you called them a name, maybe whatever it is, be very specific about what you did and acknowledge it exactly. And then the next piece is to express your remorse. This is the I'm sorry part, but you want to do it with feeling. So you want to add some feelings to that. So that in this situation could even be, I'm really sorry that I feel embarrassed when I lose my temper like that over something that I didn't need to. I feel really guilty that I treated you that way, that I said, maybe I feel ashamed that I called you that name. I'm so sorry. I feel so ashamed that I ever used that kind of language with you. Right? So a feeling with the I'm sorry. So it's very clear, and you're clear about how you feel. This is about you. And then the fourth piece is to really, there's that empathy again, and here's where you want to really express it, because you want to show that you understand the impact you had. I can't imagine what it was like to stand there and have the person that you love and trust call you a name like that, or that the person that you love and trust blows up over something that you just asked them to do, or whatever it is. Just show that you see the impact that had. And then then you want to give a why. And this is really, really important because it shows that you had some introspection. And again, there's no blame in the why, but you want to show what was happening in your own brain that you did this. So the why isn't, yeah, but you just drive me crazy because you're always, you pick on everything, or this is not it. Remember, this is like blaming them and all that. You don't want to do that. Instead, you want to show that you really thought about what you did. So it might be that you talk about, I get really scared when I notice that I get really scared when I see any kind of agitation in you. And I just want it to go away. I feel like, we're going to have this huge fight, and I'm so scared of it that I get agitated. And yeah, I actually kind of cause more of a fight. I don't realize it. Or when I see you agitated, I always avoid. I don't want to come near it. And it gets me really scared. And, whatever that is that you saw going on in your own mind, your own brain, you want to speak to that, because trust me, there was something. Even if you asked an innocent question of your partner, let's say, you just asked them something and they blew up at you, but then you blew up back. You want to think to yourself, why was I asking the question at that time? I know it was an innocent question, but what was I really asking? Make sure that it wasn't your own anxiety that was asking the question to begin with. And because you can talk about that. I was noticing I was anxious about money, so I started asking you about whether or not you got that raise at work. And I know you blew up about that, but I understand that I wasn't, it was my own anxiety that was really at play when I was talking to you about that. And I need to be able to check that. And that goes into the last step, which is what are you going to do about the change? So to make the change, like what are you going to do that's going to make sure that this doesn't happen again? And how are you going to change the behavior? How are you going to shift? And that's what you want to say here. It's like, for now on, before you come home, I'm going to make sure that I really stop and take a moment and set some intention to be grounded before I see you, so I can really just be in the love and the kindness. Or I'm going to start meditating every day so that I can be more mindful. and start noticing my reactions. I'm going to start going to therapy. I'm going to, whatever you're going to do, it can be little or big, that's going to ensure that this doesn't keep happening. If sometimes it's okay to say, if you notice that what you say you're going to do isn't landing, because you can notice that sometime, you can say that. Is there anything that you need me to do right now? Is there one thing I could do right now that would help move the needle on this? Is there one thing I could say right now that would help move the needle on this? I don't want that to be your first reaction, because you don't want to make it their responsibility to tell you how to be different. I want you to take that ownership first. But if you notice that you're just not getting it, or it's not quite on point, then try that question and see what happens. So there you have it. There are all the reasons why it's hard to apologize, what's not an apology, and my 6 steps for apologizing effectively every time. That's it for today. I'm Dr. Abby Metcalf. I help people create lasting change in their relationships, even if their partners won't do one little thing.